I am so excited for today's guest because he is a businessman, entrepreneur. He has the most incredible heart, but above it all, he's my dad. So I am so excited to have you guys come in on this conversation with Rocky Tannehill, my father. We're going to get into vision. We're going to talk about how do we cultivate and build that vision on the inside of us based off of our values. And I know that you are going to leave so encouraged, so touched, and ready to expand your life into that next comfort zone that lies before you.
They catch me on my way up, watch me, not slowing down and I'm not saying sorry.
Yeah, we got Rocco in the house, aka Dad. I'm so excited you're here with me.
Oh man, Kylie, I'm really happy. Kylie Jean.
You're so sweet. I always remind Dad because Dad calls me Kylie, and I'm like, the rest of the world, I'm Kylie Jean. So that was really sweet. Thanks for saying that.
It's my pleasure. Yeah, I want to stay with your brand, Kylie.
Thanks, I love you.
Oh, such a pleasure to be here, man. I'm so excited. I've been watching a lot of the earlier broadcasts that you've been putting together, and it's exciting. It's really cool to see.
Well, thank you.
Really great guest. Oh my gosh, great people.
It's been really fun, and it's actually kind of a dream come true having you sitting here with me because out of anybody in the entire world, you're probably the person that I verbally process the most with.
Oh.
And so we've gotten a whole 33 years of, well, I don't know how old you are when you start talking, but of talking vision and developing vision with you and values. And you've done such an incredible job you've always given me, and I would think any of the boys would, I have 3 brothers, any of the brothers would say the same thing, but you've given me space to always think so big. And you've never shut down when I've expressed a dream in my heart. You've always led me with really good questions to develop it more. Mm-hmm. And I think that that's probably one of the most valuable things in my life because I live my life so led by dreams and visions. Mm-hmm. But a big part of that is because of the way that you and Mom have parented me in that. And still, you guys are the first phone calls with anybody when I need wisdom or like to develop a dream or anything. But I remember once I was asked my first memory, and I was asked my most impactful memory. And my first memory was a dream, weirdly enough, but my most impactful memory, it brought me to tears when I was asked that because you never really ponder on that. And then I was like, oh my gosh, my most impactful memory was when I was 18 years old and you brought me back to college. You brought me back to ORU second semester and you were dropping me off and like dropping me off at chapel or whatever. Like I think like the day that we got there, I was like supposed to go to chapel, then go to classes. And I remember feeling like so sad that you were leaving because I didn't really want to be there. And I was so sad when I left to go to chapel, which was a requirement. So I go to chapel and I will never forget the feeling. I will never forget what I was wearing. It was like such an impactful moment for me when I walked out of chapel having expected that you had already left because we said goodbye and you were waiting outside of the doors for me. And you said, let's go get pancakes. And we ditched class. We went and got pancakes and we talked vision for life. And that was probably one of the most impactful moments because I felt so valued. I felt valued over your schedule. Like you had a whole different schedule and agenda lined up. You like rearranged it. Yeah. And I don't even know. I can't remember like what I had expressed. Like what if I had even told you that I was like sad that you were leaving. I don't know. But I know that in my moment, what my heart didn't even know that it needed was that time with my dad.
It needed a pancake.
It needed a pancake.
I mean, that's the cool thing.
That's the truth.
No, well, and honestly, it's those moments. I mean, I did it unconsciously.
Exactly.
It was just something I felt. I didn't want to go either. So I figured, I'm gonna take a day, maybe 2 or 3, and I'm gonna camp out here a little bit and make sure everything's good, and everything's rolling in the right direction, and because it was such a big step, such a big step, and that's probably a key to vision. I mean, getting into the next phase of vision is always a little bit difficult. Yeah, it's just a challenge. And it should be handled probably. We come up with formulas. People love that. I mean, they love to get the formula. Hey, would you just tell me how to do this? Right. But the how-to is a limitation. If you just when you step back and you look at how much more there is to offer, if you just free flow it out and figure it out as you start walking it out, because it's your vision. Yeah. It's your dream. It's what God designed you for. Yeah. He knew you. He made you for it. And now he's going to walk you forward into it. And that's the big deal. Yeah. That's the big deal. But, a lot of the times, and I think it's a huge limitation, Kylie Jean, I think it's a big deal, that people they put a self-imposed glass ceiling on their life because they don't walk it out. They don't bear it in a relational context.
Yeah.
You're my daughter.
Mm-hmm.
I love you very much.
Yeah.
I want to hang out with you.
Yeah.
Right? And let's just do that.
Yeah.
And we'll figure out, what's next after pancakes.
Yeah.
Okay, am I going to stay another day or two, or, let's do that.
Right.
Instead of trying to build the big dream. And we, have built the big dream a lot.
Yeah.
In a lot of conversations. But the simple part about it is that it's just one step.
Yeah.
It's just that one step. And it begins with relational pieces, and it's backed by just this whole really spirit of love and kindness. That, you know what? I just want to be a part of this.
Yeah.
And make it's the right thing to do.
Yeah.
From that standpoint. I'm glad you liked that.
It was very super impactful for me. And I have so many of those kind of moments throughout my life, but I think what's really cool is a lot of what I get celebrated for the areas that people even pay me to come in and speak is because it's literally what I learned from so many conversations with you. And it's that relationship aspect of learning, one, we are all uniquely and wonderfully made. And I think you've done as a dad, you've done a really good job with all four of us kids, recognizing how unique we are and being able to speak into that. There was some time recently, and I don't know when the last time me, Caleb, Jaron, and River were all together, but it was the last time that we were all together, and we all sat down, and somehow we spiked this conversation where all of us said that every single one of us can say that you're our best friend. Like, every single one of us can say
hilarious.
That. Every single one of us, but each and every one of us have a different experience of you because of how unique we are. And so how incredibly unique you've been to each of us. And we were just talking about how unique, like, that is such a gift. And we recognize that not everybody has had that experience, but it's been so incredibly impactful to us. And so I've gleaned a lot of joy from that. But even in you and I's relationship, something that you've taught me that has been such an anchor is that vision development. But I'll never forget being really little, and college football's always been our thing.
Right.
We always go to our football game.
Right.
When I don't know, how old was I when you started tossing the football with me?
The day you were born.
Yeah. We had the squishy little Taco Time football.
It got set in the crib with you.
Yeah, there you go. That in my Bible.
There you go.
So we were always tossing a football, and that was a huge thing for us. But I remember you bringing me to a football field, and I remember you talking vision. And I remember you just asking me about what were the desires of my heart, but you always tailored it to language that was appropriate. But you brought it through a lens of the things that brought me joy and value.
Well, it probably started actually way before that.
Yeah.
Because we would be we were in a parking lot. Remember we used to always go get these little Nerf footballs.
I was always running errands with you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we probably, at this time, there's this restaurant in Seattle our quick fast food taco thing that we would get these little footballs from.
Taco time.
Yeah.
Shout out Taco Time.
What time is it?
Taco time,
Come
baby.
on. And so we would grab those little Nerf balls.
Yeah.
And if I was getting a tire changed or whatever we were doing, and we would just toss them.
Yeah.
I mean, you're just still barely diapers, that type of deal. And you'd run across a parking lot, or I'd find somewhere where we could be safe, and we'd just throw the ball around and stuff. And it was always just okay, this is really who I am.
Yeah.
We were really, yes.
Uh-huh.
You're a wide receiver.
Uh-huh.
Go get it, and that type of thing. And then it just kind of always was, I think the key to that is that we just never put limitations. On the one time we were out in the parking lot throwing the ball, and you go, I'm going to be the first woman in the NFL played. That whole deal. And I was like, yes, yes, that whole deal. Go for it. Is that whole thing.
Well, and what was really cool about that is because back then, especially, women weren't in men's sports and men's weren't in women's sports, which is the healthy way it should be. Yeah. But even when I said I'm going to be the first girl in the NFL, you and Papa, who's my dad's dad, you guys never shut that down. You celebrated that in me. And what was really cool as an adult, I ended up being a sideline reporter, literally running on a football field with I worked in the Marina Football League for a little season. And so it was just so cool to see something that was on the inside of me as a little kid. It manifested and came about as an adult, but you only know you only know until the revelation of which you received. So when I'm a little kid tossing the football, knowing that that's a place of connection with my dad and recognizing, oh, I want to be the first girl in the NFL, like that's the lens that I know it through. But then it was really cool to see how it built me a vision to my future where I realized I didn't have limitations. I could actually enjoy being in a totally different airspace than what my previous career had looked like.
Sure.
And there's a different level of like confidence and joy that I think comes about. But even with the football field, what I love is you've always created a physical space. And I think this is an important thing with building vision. Is you would always bring me to a physical space, whether it be the football field, whether it be Hearst Castle was like a big thing for us. You would take me to a place where there was elevation in quality. A expansion of vision where there was physically no limitations. In a place that was operating at a higher level than what I currently was operating at. And you would bring me to those physical markers to just dream.
Well, those are great. That's a great process, actually, what you just described. Because when you step out of where you currently are, you've got to, in order to beat that anchor where you currently are, you have to have something of that to look forward to.
Yeah.
I mean, you need to look forward to something. It needs to be something that's of course, it's somewhat achievable. You know, that you can see yourself doing it.
Right.
But it may be the next step is just that, seeing yourself doing it.
Yeah.
Okay, seeing yourself throwing the football down the field, seeing yourself singing on a stage.
Yeah.
It could be seeing yourself live in a home that you never thought that you had, driving a certain car that you never thought you could dream of.
Yeah.
You know, that type of thing. And you have, in order to facilitate that and to even allow yourself to dream, you've got to take that step.
Yeah.
And the steps can be micro, but you can't stay where you are.
Yeah.
You're going to have to go forward. You're going to have to move the paradigm.
Yeah.
And the paradigm is the really simple. Where you are has to move towards vision. Otherwise, the vision will always be off your nose. It'll be so close. You'll never move out and stretch yourself out to achieve anything that would be past what would be easy. It's never easy, but it's always worth it. It's always worth the dream. It's always worth dreaming that dream. Dreams are painful at times because there's this huge stress system in between. They call it dissonance. That the dissonance is it's basically what is in between where you are and what the vision is, the dream that you have. And it causes a lot of stress, causes a lot of anxiety, causes a ton of tension, right? And you've got to be able to handle that. Most people don't.
Yeah.
They get pegged by it. They get pegged by the toughness of pulling where you are to a vision. Oh, I can see it, but how do I get there?
Yeah.
Well, you get there in increments, that's for sure, generally, but you have to be able to hold on to that vision, and it has to be yours. You have to own it. You have to buy onto it. You have to say, "This is what I want," and I'm not going to allow where I am to always anchor me here. But I'm also not going to live life in discontentment. I'm going to be totally content on God's provision for me, and I'm also going to be totally content on His ability to get me there.
Yeah.
Okay, because I believe if that's His plan, that's His dream for me, I'm going to get there.
Yeah.
And I'm going to get there through His path, His design path, His design destiny, His design purpose for us. And you have values that back that.
Yeah.
You bring that life that comes out of those values to those circumstances. Like, I can trust Him.
Yeah.
I can always trust Him. I can trust Him with my life. I can trust Him with His circumstance. I mean, one of the biggest things that happens to a lot of people, or to most people, is they'll take a step, and then they get disappointed, and they can't handle disappointment. That it just beats them up. It's just that whole thing of just being beat up by that disappointment. The hard part for them is to, when in that disappointment, to hang on to what God spoke, the vision piece. And what I say is, don't ever let go of your dream. Hang on to that dream. You can work through the disappointment. you'll live past that season. There'll be some strategies, there'll be some keys, there'll be some things that'll come up. But the baseline is this: I know it came from someone greater than I am.
Mm-hmm.
I know God's helping me with this, and I know that His vision and His dream for my life will always prevail.
Mm-hmm.
It will prevail, and I'm going to walk that path. I'm going to stay on that path because it's that piece that will make where I am,
mm-hmm.
my current reality, where my dream, where I'm setting right
mm-hmm.
now, move towards vision.
Mm-hmm.
It also helps eliminate the stress and anxiety, the dissonance that's in between there. And there's things that He will always help us with. There's great things that happen that, especially with you, I remember for your piece, was that you learned really quickly how to use your words.
Mm-hmm.
Words were so important.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that was a huge value. It's
Yeah.
like, so we would use your words.
Yeah.
Right? And we would start using, just words that would help make your future seem even closer. I like myself.
Mm-hmm.
I have a great destiny. People listen to me when I talk because I have something of value and importance to say. I have a future. I have a hope. I have a dream.
Yeah.
Just being able to say those type of things brings faith out of your heart, and
Yeah.
it's from the inside of you.
Mm-hmm.
People say, well, they're just words. Not really. They're expressions. They're expression of dreams and visions and passion that you have that was implanted to you by the Holy Spirit. Mm. And God's passion and His dreams will prevail. They pull up every bit of what's needed to get this thing done.
Yeah.
Because it's an inside-out job,
mm-hmm.
not an outside-in. Everybody tries to work and logistically maneuver and try to work out. But if you get ahead of yourself on the outside stuff and not deal with the inside, you're never going to be able to achieve what the dream is outside.
Yeah.
You have to come from your heart. And your heart's the soil of God. It's the plant of God. It's the purposes of God that are planted in that soil.
Yeah.
And so it's pretty key. The biggest hindrance to vision is always how do I make a change?
Mm-hmm.
How do I make that change? How do I change my circumstances, my situations, the things that I'm trying to just live life through?
Yeah.
Which is pretty hard.
Yeah.
There's some difficult things there, and the how to always seems to get in the way. It's like I need to know how to do this right now, and sometimes the hardest thing to do as a person is to kind of let go of the how to. In other words, that piece that says, I need these instructions, and allow that how to just set it off and just let this free flow out of your heart. Mm-hmm. Because out of the abundance of the heart, that's where God's love begins to flow through to you. And really it's the love of God that empowers you. When you begin to make transitions and you begin to work your way through, logistics, life, like I got to move to another city.
Yeah.
It's going to take a lot of love.
Right.
Because there's a lot of in the natural stress, how to.
Yeah.
Okay. But what you do is you let go of that how to. Mm-hmm. You allow the love of God to begin to motivate you and to begin to work out that place in your heart.
Yeah.
That I am moving. I am going. Mm-hmm. I feel your presence. Yeah. Holy Spirit, I know you're ahead of me, but I also know my heart's ready.
Yeah.
And my heart's ready for something. So God, I ready my heart, and now I move. I move to that spot. Well, that being the case, if you get caught up in the how to, you're going to be buried in logistics, buried in the logistics of that move, or that situation, or that circumstance with this relationship, or how it is with your family, or a job, all those type of things. So I always mark an X. I just put an X through my how to, and I just say, forget the how to, and let's just bring where we are to vision.
Yeah.
Because the vision's the dream.
Yeah.
The vision's where I want to go. I want to have a marriage. I want to have this relationship. I want to have kids. I want to have a house. I want to have cars. I want to have a career.
Yeah.
Okay. All the things that we all think about. Well, the how to can bury you. It can bury you.
Yeah.
But when you allow His love to drive you to vision, to step towards vision, drive's kind of a tough word, to put you towards vision, then you're gonna find out that all the circumstances, all the barriers, the situations that stand between you seem to go down. Okay, and you're able to take and move through those barriers, right? That are situations that usually pop up to stop or limit our vision.
Yeah.
In other words, you're dreaming too big, Kylie. Kylie Jean, you're bigging way too big. This is way too much. You should cut it down. Well, that may be true. We can break this vision down into some bite-sized, achievable moments.
Yeah.
But the drive behind the bite-sized, achievable moments and the pain that it takes to get those bite-sized, achievable moments done has to come from a bigger vision.
Yeah.
It has to come from a bigger dream.
Yeah.
It has to come from something that says, you know what, God's got greater things for me. There's something here that I know my life was purposed for.
Yeah.
And that passion that I always feel when I get up in the morning, there's to deal with what's in close is driven from this vision outside. So we always had this thing with, especially with you, and when you were a baby, we always put things into the context, and one of the vision context. And one of the vision things is that there's this verse that it was really popular back then. This I think it's Proverbs 29, without vision people perish. Well, we refuse to say it that way. We just refuse to say it that way. We said, you know what? We have vision, so instead of perishing, let's prosper. So we turned it, and this is, I think, how you learned it. With vision, we prosper.
Yeah.
I would have vision, therefore I prosper.
Yeah.
Now, I say people get so bent over this word prosper, but let's just say this: I benefit.
Yeah.
I'm able to move the dream, the passion.
I excel.
Yeah. And it's not necessarily laid into words, but what it is I do have vision. And therefore, I will be successful.
Yeah.
With the vision. Why? Because it's his.
Yeah.
It came from him. I'm in agreement with it. I came into agreement with it. And everything in me cries out for this. It just cries out for that place. So it's really important not to get hung up with those limitations of wrong beliefs. And it comes down to a value system that believes you can.
Yeah.
And believes that you were created to do these things, and also that it's a happy day to be able to do what I was created to be and do.
Well, I think one of the things also in that process that from a really young age you and Mom would really teach us and put a value on was visualization. And even like it's how I live my life. I'm such a visual person now because that's the atmosphere that you guys really cultivated and that you honored in our household. Was visualizing with the help of the Holy Spirit. And so for somebody that's like has a really hard time tapping into that, or like maybe this is new information, but I think it really builds into that with vision, you prosper. Well, you have to really like actually visualize yourself seeing yourself there.
Right.
And it's kind of like the cool thing with when we went to IMG Academies that one time, and they were explaining to us that they took some basketball players that for an entire week, all they did was visualize themselves shooting free throws and making every single one. And they went through the motions through visualizing it. And then they took people who practiced it. And the ones that visualized themselves never missed a free throw in the game. That's how strong it is when we build the vision internally. How do you walk somebody through that process?
Well, that's a great point, because walking through the process shifts your zone, your comfort zone. And what usually is the beginning point of getting things moving towards a vision and dream, of getting that free throw, is that I've got to get comfortable. I've got to get there before I get there.
Yeah.
Number one, get there before you get there. Use your imagination, use your vision part of this, which is imagination, what you see, your mind. Use your mind to connect with your heart, so that your heart's your emotive piece of it. You begin to see yourself hitting every free throw. Yeah. Every free throw. You also see the crowd, doing this. Now, here's a really big key, and I'll throw it on the table, and I don't know if we have time to really get into it or explain it, but when you're at that free throw line, you're not up in the stands seeing you. You're seeing it through your eyes.
Yeah.
and you turn around and see the crowd through your eyes. You see the other players on the line with you. You see the ref over here. Okay, you see it through your eyes. You're not third personing it in the crowd. It'd be like if you were an ice skater and you're skating around that rink.
Yeah.
Okay, you're not in the crowd seeing yourself skate.
Yeah.
You're on the ice skating.
Yeah.
Okay, I think that was a key, and I think that was really one of the big keys for your life, is that you were able to get that principle.
And there's been different times when I would, with ease, see it through my eyes, whatever it may be, whether it be when I was in music. Actually, I built the vision for where I was going with music way before I was there. It started when I was like in kindergarten or whatever, and Mom would take me to the Christian bookstore to pass time. I would scan the CDs and I would put the headphones on and be singing the song, but I was visualizing it through my eyes, what it was like when I was on stage, when I was in the writer's room. So I was there before I was there from a young age. But then there's been other moments in my life where I'm seeing it third person and I can't tap in to seeing it through my eyes. And that's where the key of understanding that dissonance factor and being able to navigate, okay, well, I recognize that right now I'm experiencing a dissonance, and identifying, well, what has me like blocked from being able to even see my vision? Is it like the fear of something? Is it the pain of disappointment? A huge hurdle I personally have had to navigate in many seasons of life is the pain of disappointment. And I think that's a lot of things, like me included in times. It's like been a total chokehold on a lot of people. But I think when we identify that, or can figure out what are those things that's keeping us from having the vision from that first person perspective, it all of a sudden takes away the control it had over us.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. One perspective with that is that you can be disappointed as a fan, or you can be disappointed as the player.
Yeah.
Okay, the fan, you can be disappointed that the free throw got missed, or you can be the player that looks at it and said, you know what, I missed a free throw, but I'm going to hit this next one.
Oh, that's good.
Okay, and so that's a huge difference.
Yeah.
Seeing it from those perspectives. And sure, I'm disappointed I should have hit that. I never, that's not like me.
Yeah.
I always make free throws. This is easy for me. And I'm going to hit this next one. I'm going to knock it down just like I always do.
Yeah.
And that's the key, that it has to become personally owned. You have to be able to own it and develop that picture, that is you, because your efficacy, your self-esteem will back it. And that's what's behind it. Well, that is one great part. That's a psychological part, but it's also the Holy Spirit.
Yeah.
Because the Holy Spirit is developing everything that's in you.
Yeah.
And he's backing you with his Spirit. Always. He will always say, I missed that free throw. That's not like you. Just hit it. Do it how I created you to do. Be who I created you to be. Walk through this thing like I've created you. And take the path I've created for you. And that is our hope, because we're not in it ourselves.
Yeah.
But logistically, we've got to create a way that we get to that. We get to that. One of the greatest, I love this part of just watching TV and seeing car commercials. And I always I always love the way they put the car out there. Oh, I love to have that car. I love to have that Porsche. I'd love to be driving that Porsche. But until I see myself looking through that windshield, okay, I'll never be in that Porsche. Ever. And they always put me there. They always, it's subliminal.
Yeah.
But you're going to drive that car. They're going to put you looking out of that windshield.
Yeah.
And that's a really big key. I'd love to have that. I'd love to have that house. But until you're walking through it and seeing it and building it, and, you're probably not.
Yeah.
You're probably not going to get there because you won't be comfortable.
Yeah. I think comfort zone's a huge thing, because we can have a certain comfort zone and we always have the ability to break it.
Yeah.
But not everybody does. And I think healthily from glory to glory, right? So we always have the opportunity to grow from comfort zone to comfort zone. But how do you break out of even an old comfort zone to be able to go into a new comfort zone?
Well, that's a great question. How do you move a comfort zone forward? And I mean, it starts with just simple stuff. It's always easy to talk about money.
Yeah.
Like, how do I get from making minimum wage to the wage I want to make?
Yeah.
How do I get from this salary to the next salary? Or how do I grow, those type of things? And money's always easy to talk about because, those are comfort zone issues. Oh, I don't deserve to make that kind of money. If you don't believe you deserve it, your comfort zone is I don't deserve it.
Yeah.
Those are your belief systems, your values, and you're going to stay down here in where it's comfortable.
Right.
And you're going to feed yourself that information.
Right.
But when you say, "Oh, I deserve to have this salary. I deserve to be at this level," and you believe that that's where you belong.
Yeah.
You will pull from where you are, that zone, and you will work through everything it takes to get comfortable at $200,000.
Yeah.
So I remember one time. Is this a good thing to talk about?
Yes, go into it.
Okay, because I remember one time we had bought this one home, your mother and I, and we really loved this house. But our setting in there was like we just got through remodeling it, and it was just really fun. And I said, "Hey, let's go look at these other houses." And we happened to live in Seattle at that time. And I said, "Let's go look at the houses down on the water." Okay, from where we lived was a little bit from the water, but the water houses were like ultra cool because you're on Lake Washington.
Yeah.
Okay, that lake and lakefront was always more expensive, that type of thing, because you're on the water. And so we started going through every house that was open. Anytime we would go through those houses, and we would just go, you know what, we can have this.
Yeah.
If this is what really is God's plan for us, we can supernaturally get this home, provision wise, but we can also believe that we belong in that house.
Yeah.
Okay, because if we don't believe we belong there, we'll never get there.
I was gonna say you'll never be there.
Exactly. If you don't believe you're worth $1 million a year, you'll never make $1 million.
Yeah.
If you don't believe that you are worth that much to be treated that way, rightly, by a girl or a guy, you will allow things to happen that will impinge you. Okay, so you have to believe, no, I deserve this type of behavior. I deserve this type of standard.
Yeah.
And that will always dictate. I'm not comfortable with this.
Yeah.
Like I try to always be the guy. I don't always get there in time, but I try to always be there to open your mother's door.
Yeah.
If I'm at the car or at the house, that type of thing, from the car to the house or whatever, because that's something that she doesn't demand that of me, but I want to honor her with that.
Yeah.
And it's a comfort zone with us.
Right.
It's a comfort zone because she deserves to be honored.
Yeah.
And if you're not comfortable with that, you'll never expect that from anyone.
Right.
You'll always, be opening your own door.
Right.
You'll always be trying to make your own future. You'll try to always be doing your own thing. And I'm saying, don't let that be your comfort zone. Don't let your thing be the comfort zone. Rise up to that next piece that, what? I deserve someone that opens my door.
Yeah.
Okay. I deserve to be in that house, that salary. And I also deserve this because that's the vision and dream that God's given me.
Yeah. No, I love that. And I think it's so powerful when you back it with affirmations.
Yeah.
And kind of how you said, it's statements that are overflowing out of the heart.
Right.
I know we briefly touched on that, but can you even go into that affirmation piece?
Yeah, it's really easy. In order to get there, you can't hope to get there. You can't someday think you'll get there. You have to make it a now thing. Faith is now, hope is future. Faith is now, hope is future. So an affirmation is nothing but a statement, a faith statement that says, I have it now. I have it now. It's first person, present tense, reality. In other words, this is my reality.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to someday get this.
Yeah.
I have it now. And you have to, and that helps you set in your heart a clear picture, a clear vision.
Yeah.
And you can snap that. It's like a Polaroid.
Yeah.
You snap it and you let it develop.
Yeah.
Okay. And it has to be in that first person. I am. Yeah. I have. Present tense that says I'm going to walk forward to this, And then I'm going to build out of a now mentality.
Yeah.
A now mentality. I have it now. It doesn't mean that I have to stress myself out because it's not in the car's not in my garage, or the house isn't in my name, or the salary isn't quite there. But I got to see myself there.
Yeah.
I got to see myself there. My future contains that. It contains that.
Yeah.
Okay. So what happens is it helps blow the dissonance. It helps make that the standard, and you have faith that says, you know what, I have it. When it manifests, is up to God.
Yeah.
My responsibility is to dream the dream with Him.
Yeah.
First person, present tense.
First person, present tense.
So I am and I have.
Yeah.
And you see it now. Like I have. It's easy to say, especially for salaries, it's easy for weight. Like, I love my healthy body. If you're sick.
Yeah.
I love my healthy body.
Yeah.
And you begin to say those type of things, and it begins to set not only your dream and your heart towards that, but it also allows your faith, which is literally going out ahead of you, to begin to open those doors.
Yeah. It's frequencies.
I love frequencies.
I love frequencies.
I do too. I love them, and they're so real because the science behind it's incredible. But they've cured people by touching a screen, and that once they touch the screen, the faith that is behind that touch sends a frequency to their heart, and their bodies are healed.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
That's
Cancer.
amazing.
They've had tons of these people. Like water, you speak to water, and it picks up. Literally, it changes moleculars.
Yeah, Dr. Emoto. I did my whole college senior thesis on that.
It's amazing.
Amazing. Even down to, it's super fascinating. Dr. Emoto did a bunch of water experiments on speaking to the water and seeing how the color of the water would change, or down to the molecular level of
That's
it.
a big word.
It's a big word. But even really fascinating because there was an area in Japan where there's this dam that collected all the drinking water for a town, and somebody committed suicide in that. And so they even clean it up, take it all out. But the people who drank from the water got so sick, and then they realized when they had to go bless and reverse the curse of death that it shifted. And so they took from something that was literally holding death to it, that spread it out into the people, and then they realized, okay, actually this water's so powerful that it's holding that spirit in it, is that we have to go speak life and we have to reverse it. And so now we're going to speak life over this water, and then it totally changed the way that the people's bodies were responding, the crops were responding. That's how powerful the frequencies are, to a thought pattern, to a healing frequency, to prosperity. It's all very, very real, scientifically, biblically backed.
If you push back with the wrong frequency, negativity towards money, do you think money's going to come to you?
No.
What about healing?
If you're negative, it won't come, but if you're positive.
What about a marriage?
Right.
What about a family?
Right.
Those is where you clean up that type of thing. You begin to, how do you clean that up? How do you clean the water up here?
Yeah.
The frequency up. How do you straighten that up?
With your words
vision.
and your vision.
Through vision, by speaking that vision and using that affirmative voice instead of the negative. And that affirmative is really important.
Yeah.
It's really important because what you're doing is you're coming into agreement with what God already has for you, and the light that He has for you, and the dreams that He has for you, and the person that He has for you.
Yeah.
Those type of things. And it's so important. It's so important to come into alignment. How do you do that? Well, first of all, you come into the dream, and that's based in a fact, a truth, a value. He loves me. He loves me. And because He loves me, I can do this.
Yeah.
I can dream this.
Yeah.
And because of that love, and because of that, what's behind that love, which is everything.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm a son.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm His child. And because I'm God's child, everything's done for me.
Yeah.
I have this inheritance that's waiting for me.
Yeah.
It's waiting for me. So why would I not step into it?
Yeah.
That's a great question.
Yeah.
Why?
Because of a self-limitation.
Self-limitation, exactly. You're focusing on the how-to,
Yep.
and he's not in that how-to.
Right.
He's into the piece that says, no, this is yours.
Right.
And because that piece is backed by his care, his love, and everything he has for you, because before he knew you, before you were formed, he knew you.
Yeah.
And that's huge. And not only does he know you, he wants to bless you.
Yeah.
He wants to see this thing done through his power and through his spirit.
Mm-hmm. For
this dream.
Young families out there with little kids, like, how do you say, or what's kind of your insight and advice on, from a young age, being able to cultivate the freedom of allowing your kids to dream and being able to believe in that and affirm that?
Yeah. Well, it starts with something bigger than you are. And you have to always provide something bigger than you are as a parent. And you have to believe it. For us, it was God. We always really loved God. We always loved the Holy Spirit. We were committed to that. And we would do things like, because of that, we would say, God has such a great plan for you. We would say that plan wasn't Dad and Mom's idea. It was God's idea. It really puts a lot different authority, a type of authority behind it.
Yeah.
And then we would just say, like, and everything that's in that plan is in this word, his Bible, the Bible, his word. And then we would kiss the Bible. And I love my Bible, love my Bible. And we would put it into the bassinet with you.
Yeah.
And then we would put it into the crib with you.
I still sleep with my Bible.
Right.
I feel weird if I don't.
Well, mine's closed.
Yeah.
And it's like, I love my Bible. Why? I love his word. I love his word. Why? Because it's just a book? No, it's not a book. It's my vision.
Yeah.
It's my dream. This is my dream. Everything's in there. Everything's in here for me. And so I am going to build out of that word.
Yeah.
It's living, it's active, and it's sharper than any two-edged sword. It's able to divide between what? The bone and marrow, and the intents of your heart, spirit and soul. Yeah. It gets down to the very core that I can trust. And when I can trust that, I love my Bible, I love my Bible, I love his word, I love his word, I love his word. Well, guess what? You are.
Yeah.
You are, because it's built in you. So that gives you a really strong why.
Yeah.
Why I can trust. Why I can trust this. And then, because I do love his Bible and I do love his word, I can like myself.
Yeah.
And I can like myself because he created me that way.
Yeah.
I like myself. I have a great destiny. People listen to me when I speak because I have something of value and importance to say.
Yeah.
I'm speaking his word.
Yeah.
I'm speaking his life. I'm coming from a spirit of love for people.
Yeah.
And I can trust that his spirit's out ahead of me, that frequency is ahead of me, and that life is ahead of me, and it's knocking down any obstacles, any barriers that would keep me, or it's going to help me navigate around them if I need to navigate around them. I don't really focus on it, because if you focus on what I don't want, you're going to hit it. It's the old rock in the road scenario. But if you focus on what you want and where you see God taking you, then that's what your focus, and that's where you'll go to.
Yeah, that's good.
That's where you'll go to. What you focus on, what you focus on will create what you will lock onto, and you could have the answer coming right to you to get to that vision and dream, and it won't come. You'll lock it out. So they call it a low, lock on and then lock out. Great to lock on, but just realize that when you lock on to something, if it's a negative, it'll lock out the positive that could get you to that dream.
Okay, well, before we leave today, what would be like your final word of encouragement?
Well, it's hard for me to give you a final word of encouragement because I love talking to you. And I'll sit here and encourage you all day because it's so fun. And you soak it up like a sponge. But I think if I can say one thing to help people, is that trust yourself. Because God really did make you great. Trust yourself. Trust who he made you to be. don't shortchange yourself. Don't allow circumstances and situations to pull you into the average. You were never created to be average. You were created to be so supernaturally gifted, so supernaturally filled with his presence and his love, and that he wants to lead every step of the way with you. Trust him. Trust him. Because even when things seem tough, it's not make yourself tougher to get through. It's allow his presence to lead you through. Allow his love to guide you to that spot. He will make you strong enough. Where I'm weak, he is strong. Where I seem to faint, he girds me up. When I seem to want to throw in the towel, he takes that towel and throws it to my future. It's not a thing of what you can do. It's trust him to do it through you. Trust him to do it through you, and trust yourself to do it, because you were made to do this. You were made to be this. You were made to have it that God's plan, all of God's plan for you. And guys, I just say this, don't shortchange yourself right now. We're entering into a time that there's going to be open heavens here. There's open heavens of God's goodness over us. There's open heavens of what he wants to bring, not only to our nation, but to nations. Don't shortchange yourself. This is his life. This is his world. And he is going to see it through with you. And I encourage you to step out bigger than you've ever dreamed of, go stronger than you've ever gone to, and allow the love of God to just saturate you, to burn in you, to take you to that place of I can do it. I can do it.
Well, I love you so much. Thank you for being here with us today. It got me on that last one, on to trust yourself, because even as you're talking, I'm like, wow, there's like some big areas I don't think I've trusted myself fully. And even in the way you're saying it, I can feel just the champion of the Father's heart and God. And I think that's what he has for every single one of us, is because he loves and trusts us so much that he made us in his image.
Right.
Which is like the greatest gift of all. I'm totally going to just start crying here. But I think that's one of the coolest things that I really value about who you are as my dad, is being able to speak those truths and taking the time to share that with the world today and shaping the vision and moving forward in that. And so thank you so much for being here. Thank you for just sharing your heart and the fatherly love and advice that has 0 expiration date on it. And it doesn't matter how old, and it doesn't matter how young you are. If you're a 2-year-old all the way up to you could be 92 years old, this applies.
Well, we've got a lot more stories to tell.
We got a lot more stories to tell.
We need to do this again quick.
We will do this again quick. I love you so much. And until next time, because there will be a next time, thanks for hanging out.
They catch me on my way up, watch me, not slowing down and I'm not saying